So today we are going to first of all cover HTML, and the next class, like I said, we are going to cover CSS, and the third class we are going to cover JavaScript. So after we are done with those three, which is for front end, not even for back end. So after we are done with those three parts, now we can start with our Python and Django. Because we are trying to develop websites with Python, which is why we choose Django, because it's a Python framework for web development. So before we make use of that feature of developing a website from Python, we have to know a little bit of front end, so we'll be able to see what our code will look like in the front end while developing it. So that's why we are going to go through HTML, we go through CSS, then we go through JavaScript before we get to Python, which is our main subject in this training. All right. So in your laptop, in your PC, create an empty folder. Create an empty folder in your PC. Let's get started now. Create an empty folder in your PC. Create an empty folder in your PC. So you can give it any name you want. Let me create one here. I'm going to give it a name now. So you create your own, give it a name. Maybe my first tutorial, my first backend class, or something like that. You can give it a name. Are you done with creating the folder? So now hold the shift key, and then you right click on it, or even just right click on it. You will see an option, open with code. If you have VS Code installed in your laptop, then it will open in VS Code. Open VS Code. We see open with VS Code. Have you done that? Have you opened it with VS Code? Then this is how your code will look like. Then, HTML, hypertext markup language. Like I told you in the last class, that is the skeleton of your website. So it holds every single structure of your website. Then you can then style it with CSS, and then you give it responsiveness with JavaScript. Then Python or any other programming language will handle the backend. So now we are about to create our first HTML file. And HTML, the file extension for HTML ends with HTML. Sometimes you can use HTML, but it's not recommended. Use HTML. So let's create. Here we have our folder, the folder we created, the empty folder we created. And in our VS Code, this particular one with plus sign, the first one is new file. Once you click it, it opens up. Then we say let's say home. Let's give it a name, home.html. Now this is an HTML file. Any file extension that ends with HTML is a HTML file. So, and in your VS Code, click here, click this extension tab, this extension now. Click on it. Type in live server, live server. You will see this thing, this one here. Live server. Click on live server and install it. Install live server in your laptop. Open the folder. After creating the folder, open it right click on the folder and open it with VS Code. Open it with VS Code. Then you download live server, this one. I hope you guys can see all this. Once you are done with installing live server, then go back to your home.html page. Let's create our first HTML. To create our first HTML page, already VS Code recognizes what HTML is, and we already have our home.html, and it shows you tags, showing you that HTML comprises of tags. It comprises. Let's first create our DOM, which is the document, the main document of our HTML page. It goes like HTML, and we are in HTML5 now. So all these are the boilerplates, the placeholder. Just let's call it the boilerplate. It will generate automatically for you. Here is the title. You can give this a title. I will explain what title means later in this video. But this is the boilerplate for our HTML page, which will always be the first thing the browser will look at to see the skeleton of our web page. So this particular thing we created here, looking at this, we have a declaration, doc type HTML, which is the latest version of HTML, the HTML5. That is what this doc type specifies. And an HTML tag comprises of two sides, the opening tag and the closing tag. If you look at this place here, we have an opening tag here. This particular HTML, this is where it's closed, this place, HTML. And the opening tag, it's open with an angle bracket, like a less than sign here, this one, and then the name of the tag, and the one that will start any document you are starting, any website you are building, anything that will run on the browser as a website, you must open it with HTML. That is the root document. That is the first tag you will create to open that document. HTML. Any website you see on the web that run on a browser must open with HTML. Even if it's the oldest version of HTML, then it won't have this declaration. This doc type is the HTML5 that have this doc type declaration here. So if it's HTML4, then we can exclude this specifically. You can exclude this one. And now we have HTML4. So, but we want to work with HTML5. So this declaration here, the doc type HTML, is HTML5. So first, one thing you have to understand is, anytime you are trying to build a website, anything that will run on a browser, the skeleton of the website, the first thing you have to create is the HTML of that website. And HTML comprises of tags with an opening and a closing tag. And the name of the tag will be inside this place. You first of all open it with angle bracket. Then this one is the name of the tag. And this place you have attributes, what we call attributes, will come inside of this place. And you will close it again with a greater than sign, angle bracket. And then this is where the HTML closes, in the end of that document you are creating. So this is the beginning of it. This one is the beginning of your document, and this is the end of your document here. So let's space it that way so you understand what I'm saying. Then a valid HTML document have a head section. You see, let me space it. It have the head section and it have a body section. It look like a human being. You know, you have the head and you have your body. We also have footer, but the footer is inside this body here. You can have our footer. See, this is our footer here, but it's inside the body. And even our header. This is our header. It's also inside the body. So, but the major one is the head and the body. Those two will be inside the HTML tag, and the HTML is the root document, the root element of your document. So when we get to JavaScript, you see we work with documents. When we reference document, DOM, call it DOM, document object model, DOM, DOM, document object model. So that is the DOM, and the HTML is the DOM of this particular web page. So always remember, whenever you are trying to build a website, so you understand this, whenever you are trying to build a website, the structure of your website is the HTML. That is the structure of the skeleton of your website. So, and that skeleton will hold every single information, text, images, video, graphics that people will see on your website. The HTML will hold all of them. In the HTML tag have division, it have image, you use them to hold image. It have paragraph, you use them to hold portion of text. It have section that will hold a section. It have article that will hold maybe the whole web page. It have iframe. It will have embedded article, maybe a YouTube video, you embed it to your web page. All that are made possible through the HTML. They are displayed in the HTML. Then JavaScript can take care of responsiveness, and CSS will now style your website for you. So let's start from here. The head. The head, anything that you have in the head section of your website, nobody will see this. You will not see it on your web page. Nobody will see it. The only person will see it is the browser. The browser will read everything in your head, in the head section of your website. The only thing you will see here, okay, we say, let's run this thing now. Let's run our website using that live server I told you to create. And this is the body section of our web page. So here we can have div or section. Let's use div. And you can say, this is our first web page. Now let's run this on a browser. We can right click if you have your VS Code installed and you have live server installed. Right click on this anywhere and you say open with live server. Click on open with live server. Let me share this screen with you. Share. So I believe you guys can see this particular web page now. This is it. This is our first web page. That is that particular thing I wrote on that HTML document. If I go there now and I visit it, this thing I wrote here. That is exactly what we are doing here. This is our first web page, and it's in the home.html. So from here now, we can add so many styling, images, color to our web page. So I will explain the header, the body, and then we add some text to our web page. So firstly, if anything is confusing you from here, drop your question. Let me answer it. Comment your question here. Let me answer a few questions before we continue. Comment your question now. Okay, you said, how can I change? Once you type in HTML5, once you type in HTML5, it will change. And if it doesn't change that way, that's doc type HTML you see here. This particular thing, this doc type HTML is declaration of HTML5. Once you have this thing in your document, in your HTML document, then the browser knows that this is HTML5. How can I watch that? I thought every code will be written in. You are written every. How can you write your front end with Python? Python is back-end code, not front-end code. You only use Python to work on the back end of your website, not the front end. And if you want your website to have a front end, then you must make use of HTML. Except you want to render it as JSON or XML, then you make use of XML or JSON to render your web page. So, but if you want people to visit your website, interact with it, click on a button and it works, then you need HTML. Not only HTML, you need also CSS and you need JavaScript. That is front-end web development. Then back-end web development, focus on back-end. Then that is when you write Python. If you choose Python as your back-end code, there are some other programming language you can choose as well. It's all up to you, but we are working with Python in this class. So then how can I change? This is backend, not front end. We are in backend class. I think you registered for backend, right? This is backend, not front end. So, but our backend class, we added Django to it. So, and Django work with front end because it's a Python framework used for website development. So that is why I want to brush through HTML and CSS, because while working with Django now, we have to display our pages. So if you don't know what pages are and how to display them, then you might not be able to work with Django, which is part of our backend training. So that is exactly why I choose to say something about front end before you start backend. And even as a backend developer, you need the experience. You need to have little experience or even broad experience in front end, so you'll understand what you are working on. Because anything you are working in the back end, you have to display them in the front end, so user can be able to access it, except you are building model or you are collaborating with other, or you are just working on a particular portion of a project in a company. Maybe you are working for people. So, but if you are working on your own, then as a backend developer, you need a front-end experience to be able to work with your backend. This, except you want to just be coding, just writing code that perform a particular task. Maybe you craft a backend code that accomplish a particular task, but you may not see them in the front end. You can view them from the command line. So we want to make use of this, so you'll be able to understand what it is to have a website or to code a website from scratch. So now everything we have here is your HTML documents. So, and the valid HTML document I told you is going to start off with HTML, and then HTML tag always have an opening and a closing tag. If you look at this one now, this is the body, this is where it closes up. So the only difference is the body have a forward slash in front of it while closing, and while opening it's just a less than sign, and the body, which is the tag, the HTML tag name, and the closing, which is the greater than sign. And then here is where it closes up. It will have an opening less than sign with a forward slash, and then the same body name you see in the opening tag, and then a closing angle brackets, a greater than sign. That is how you close almost all your HTML tag, except the one we call the void element. All these things are HTML elements. All of these, they are all called elements, HTML elements. There are many of them, over 100 of them, and they do they perform different tasks for you in your HTML document. So like the head now have where the browser will read in your web page. So let's check our page, that page we created. Looking at this page now, we have our HTML page here, which says this is our first HTML. And in our browser here, we also have the HTML. No name. If you look at this thing, we don't have any name for our page here. It doesn't have any name. So, but that particular section, which is the head section, you see this particular thing, it have localhost. This 2.7 is localhost. We just have the local host of our websites. So, but then here in that particular HTML, this particular place I told you, the only people that see this is the browser. You can say home page. Here we save it. And now when we hover here, you see we have home page here. That particular text we added. Let's change that text so you understand what I'm saying. Now we have my website. When we save this and go back to our page, over here, you see we have my website here. Can you see that? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Yes, we can see it very well, sir.
You can see that's my website. All right. So that is the title of your web page. Any website you view here, it have a title. Every single website you are viewing here, all of them have a title. So same way, that is the work of the title tag. So can you view this page? Yeah. So you look at this page now. This is our web page. This is the title of our web page: Multi-Life Savers, Hope for the Less Privileged. That is the title of our web page, of the website, our website here. So, and that is the work of that title element. So let's explore the next element. And that is the work of this title. You use it to give title to your web page, and it will display in the browser tab as the title of that particular website. So this particular one is the meta element, the meta tag, the meta element. It holds the search engine, everything the search engine or the browser read about your website. You can give it a description. It will describe your web page. We have keywords, meta name equals to keyword. Then it will give keyword what the browser will. That this particular one is very good for SEO, search engine optimization. So the browser will read those particular portions and understand what you are trying to explain in your web page. That is the work of the meta.
Yeah. Sir, please, can you come again on that meta, please?
The meta.
Yes.
Okay, the meta is the search engine optimization. It describes your web page. You have meta. Let me have another. Let me create one here, which is the meta desk. So this is meta description. You can say next one. Okay, so we have this thing here as the meta description. And that is what the browser will read. If you host this website now, the browser will read this and say, okay, this is my best website. That is what will be displayed. Let me show you something on the browser quickly so you understand what I'm talking about. If I open this browser now and I say, let's see this one, how to screenshot on the laptop. So you're looking at this particular, can you see this page here?
Yes.
All right. So this particular thing is that title we give to our page. This is it. This thing we search here are random websites selected by Google based on their search engine optimization and ranking. Google have to rank some of websites first, and some websites will be down below, even in this 10th page. You see, this is number 1 page, this is 2nd page, this is 3rd page, this is 5th page, 6th, go on. So Google rank websites based on so many things. It can be the title, the description, the speed of the website, and the quality of the website as well, the accessibility, so many features Google will check before indexing your website in the first page. And that description is one of the thing Google will look at. The title as well is another thing Google will look at. So this particular thing is that title we gave to our website now. And this one is that description I gave to the web page just now. That meta description. This is it. Same thing here. And here is the title. And this one is the URL of the website. So whenever you are building a website and you create that particular title and description, this is it here. If Google is trying to index your website, it will look in the title and it will look in the description. Additionally, they have what we call canonical URL. It also look in those places to index your website, to understand what you are talking about, what you are trying to say in that website. So from there, you can say, okay, this is the relevant website I'm supposed to display for this particular user. Searching for this thing, this is what I'm supposed to display for them. So assuming we start multi-lifesaver here, multi-lifesavers. You see what we see here? We see multi-lifesavers for the less privileged. And this is the title of multi-lifesaver on the website. This one is the description, multi-lifesaver MLS is a charity organization founded by Reverend Father Ejike Kamilu Chimbaka. And this is exactly the description of our website, of the Multi-Life Savers website. So that is the work of title and description on your website. So let's go back to our website, our page here. So if you go back to our page, which is the one we created here, you can now how to view your source code, the code they're using creating this website. If you want to view it now, we can say Control U. And then this is our HTML document. First thing you will understand is HTML tag. Look, you see, it have an opening tag and the closing tag. So, and inside here, you can nest them. You call it HTML nesting. You can add another tag inside of it, like this particular header tag. But all of them, because this is HTML5, is semantic tag. Those tags have what they do, and they are describable. They are describable. Like looking at this one now, you see the name head is the head section of the website, and this one is title, the title of the website. This one is the body, the section where the user can see. That is the body section of the website. And this particular one is the header. There is a very big difference between the head and the header. This header can hold your navigation, your nav bar. You know what navigation bar is in a website? You all know what navigation is.
Is it the bar that you see refresh, back, and all that?
No, that's not the right navigation.
No, sir.
Navigation is where you see your homepage, about us,
let me
just links that has to do with your site, contact us, and the rest of them.
Let me show you what navigation is. In this particular place is the navigation. Let me bring another one and show us exactly what we want to see. Okay, this is the navigation. You see this place here. We have empowerment scheme, testimonial, sponsor, donate. Even we have the name. This is the navigation, the navigation of our website, this place. And this one is the sidebar. This is the sidebar. This particular place I'm scrolling is the body. This place is the body section of our website. And if we go down, here is the footer section of our website. All this place now is the footer section of our website. So if you want your website to look more valid, or a valid website, it has some of them. This particular one is a fixed navigation bar. There are some websites that can scroll their navigation bar in way. When you are scrolling down, the navigation bar will scroll with the page. So, but some people will love to have their navigation bar fixed. So it will not, you will not be able to scroll it away with the page. But this is the navigation bar. This is the sidebar here, and this is the footer. This one here. So all those things are the essential of a website. You need to understand them, to work with them if you want to build a complete website on your own. So now we are done with this. So you have to understand these tags. That's the major thing, and mostly, let me say, even the only thing we need to one of the major things you need to understand about HTML. HTML is basically tags. Then another thing about the tag is this: it have attributes. Anything inside this tag, this place you can't add attribute to this closing tag. The only place you add attribute is the opening tag. Here you can say ID is equals to my D, something like this. So we now, our tag here have an ID. So we can even start with CSS here. CSS, HTML have a CSS tag where you can style your documents. Remember I told you CSS is for styling. Whenever you want to style your documents, color, change the font size, the font weight, the padding and everything, it have to do with CSS, cascading style sheets. So, and here we have an attribute for styling, which is style. If you add style here, any styling you have here, we color, we style your documents. So let's try it on this view. You see this attribute is an ID. This ID, we use this ID to track this particular element here. So if I want to track this div, even from JavaScript or CSS, I can easily come here and then I will say hashtag. This is how to track ID. You say hashtag my ID, which is this same ID we have here. You can say my ID. We have a curly bracket here and opening. Any styling we add here will affect this particular division here. See this division. Okay, let's try one style rule, which is font size. We have font size in CSS. You can say font size is equals to 50 pixel, 50 px. Let's not save this. Let's first of all view that our website. Where is the website? Okay, I think this is our website. So looking at our website here, we have, this is our first web page in a very small default size. So let's go back and save that attribute. We change the font size to 50 pixel, which will make this default size is 16 pixel, and we have 50 pixel now. Let's see what will happen to our page. You see, we have a very big text here, which is say this is our default, this is our first web page. If we change this particular style now, let's add another one, which is color. CSS have a color attribute, which can say red. Let's say red now as our color and save it. Let's go back to our web page, and then you see this is the our text is now in red color. And this is the work of CSS. And what we call this is inline styling. Inline styling. If you have your style like this, you style. You remember CSS is another program on its own. So it have an extension .css. The way we have an extension here, home.html, we can choose to create our CSS file. We can say style.css, and now we have a CSS file here. So, but because we don't want to use it, we choose to do it inside the HTML. It's called inline styling. And we have another way of styling. We can even style here. You can say style. You can say font weight 900. So then let's view the page first before. So you see the text is a little bit lighter, even though it's big now, but it's a little bit lighter. So let's change the font weight. We already have the font weight in 900, which is the highest. Let's save it and go back. And you see the text is now even more bolder. We can even change the color within that place, and they have priority. Anything
sorry.
we have here have higher priority than the one we have here in our inline styling and the one we have here in our external style. So if you come here and say color blue will take control. The color will be blue, even though we have red here. So let's go to our browser now. You see, we have blue color here. Someone is trying to say something before. Go ahead.
Which command do you save the coding with?
We are using live server. So when we are using live server, I told you before that HTML and CSS and JavaScript, they are browser codes. So you can easily, without installing anything, you can be able to access or view your HTML or CSS code. So, but we have live server. That live server, once we save it, Control S, we save it in VS Code, to update it instantly on our web page. We don't have to refresh the browser again. That is the work of live server we installed. I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
So, and this is from here, if you are a front-end developer now, from here you can start designing your web page, giving it colors, pages, and sections. So, but let me go a little deeper in this particular page now. And so now we have the division here. So division is also included in the first version of HTML, which is the HTML5. But we have more elements in HTML5. And one of them is article. The article will hold a portion, or even the whole web page. You can have article like this, and then you say we style it inline width. CSS have an attribute of width which gives the width of your web page. You can say 80%, and then we can say background color. We have background color. We can say at least blue. You can say margin. I will explain what margin is, automatic. And then we say color. Any text inside this particular article, we have this color. We can give it brown of the color. So now we have a section with inline styling here. So inside this article, we can have sections. We can style this section separately. We can say style box shadow. Zero pixel, 10 pixel, black. I will explain some of these things in the CSS. We are very much interested in Python here, not in HTML. But let's first of all have a web page. While working with Django, we can be able to view our web pages. That's why we are using this HTML here.
I have a question, sir.
Okay. Ask your question.
Sorry to cut you short. I'm seeing some double quotation mark at the top of your, should I call it strings? But I don't know the functions. You just, as you are proceeding, you are bringing some different functions. Is it depending the particular kind of web page you want to produce? Then depends the kind of function you bring out, or are there specific functions?
The option you are seeing. Okay, you mean this option I'm seeing?
No, the functions, those like the header, the body, the footer. Are there like a compulsory, like are they specific to create the
Yes,
web page, or depending how the web page will look like, depending how those functions will be?
exactly. That is a good question. All those elements have where they work best, and most of them have where they must be. Like, for example, this head, you cannot place the head element inside the body element. Never. If you do that, the browser will not understand your web page. And you can't place this body element inside any other element within this web page. And the body element can only be one in a document. You can't have two body elements in a particular web page or in a particular document. Same thing applies to head element. Same thing applies to title. You can only have one title element in a web page, including header. You can only have one header element in a web page and one footer element in a web page. And then all the elements must be inside the HTML element, which is the root of your document. So, and then all this one inside here, like the article, you can have multiple articles in a web page. So then you can have multiple sections in a web page. So, but there are still other elements you can place inside here. This particular one I have here, we call this block level element. This block level element represents a portion, a block in your website. And we have inline level elements. Example of inline element, we have span. This span, a span element cannot hold an article element. An article element is a block level element, and a span element is an inline level element. It's smaller. It doesn't hold a block portion. It holds just a portion of text in your web page that will allow you to style a portion. And we have P, paragraph. We have so many elements. We have IM. This one is image. If you want to display an image here, this is what we use. You now give the source of that image here. So let's display one image. Have you this? I hope this can answer your question before we can start displaying an image.
Yes, it answered the question. Yes, thank you.
So here we have a section. This is a paragraph. And this paragraph is inline elements. This one, this is our article. It's a block level element. Let's copy this text. And then to comment something out, this is how we comment something out in HTML. Opening less than sign with an exclamation mark with double hyphen. Then anything you want to comment out will be inside this, and you will close it with double hyphen greater than sign, angle bracket, close. You know this particular thing will not be rendered by the browser. It's a comment. So we can come here and then we say, for example, our image section. Our image section. So the browser will not display this thing. This is a comment. We use it to say what will happen in the next element, or you describe what is about to happen. So here we can have a paragraph. You see, so now we have this particular thing. This source, this is an attribute. Anything inside the HTML tag is an attribute. This particular thing, this style is an attribute. And in HTML, you can give it an ID, like we did again. This ID, we track it with an ID. And you can give it another, we have class. In the next class, I will explain CSS. Then I will tell you what ID and class, the difference, and how you can make use of them to interact your HTML and your CSS. So, and you can add a custom attribute. We have title as well, which is a default attribute by section. Let's see what will happen. And you can have my ad. So you can now give this one a go. So this one is a custom tag. It doesn't have any meaning in the HTML document, but you can make use of it. You can use it on your own and interact with this particular element using this particular attribute you give to it. So, but all this one have meaning. Like the title, we pop up a modal, a box to show you what this particular element is all about. Whenever you hover around this element, this title will pop up, my section. And this class, you use it to give classes. Maybe let's assume we have multiple elements now, and we want to track all of them. And we give it a class name. We can give multiple elements this class name. And if we reference this particular class name, my set like this, any element that have this class name will be grouped together. You will interact with them, change their color, do anything you want to do with them using their class name. And this ID will pick just this particular one that have this ID. And the difference in this one is group of elements. You can have group of elements with the same class name, but this ID must be one element. Only one element can have an ID in a particular document. Every ID must be unique. So if you like this, no other elements within this document will bear this same ID. They can have an ID of a different name, but they cannot bear this ID of my LM again, except you have complication in your design. So, but now let's display an image here. So you see how to display it. And this particular attribute source is where you add the source of your image, where your image comes from. It can be a folder within here. We can drag and drop image here and display it, or we can add a URL, a link to a particular image. Let's view our website here. So we grab one image. Okay, this image here, let's inspect this image. We have copied the address of this image now. We will now display that image in our web page. Okay, let's go back and paste it here, Control V. So this is the link to that particular image. We can say this one is where you describe what is in your image. In case for any reason the browser is unable to display your image, then it will fall back to this alternative text to tell the user this is what we are trying to say, this image. So we can say I got it. So now let's go back to our browser and see what we have. Someone is saying something in the background. So you see this here. This is our website here, and this is that image we will display using image element. And you see, if we hover around this thing, this pop-up says my title attribute. So if you become a front-end developer now, you can know how to combine the image, text, and many other things to bring out a nice looking website for your user. And that is it. For here, we have many other elements, even the form element that will allow us submit something to our database. Allow user to add something and then submit it. So let's create another section for that before we take in questions. And then
I hope you don't mind if I have a question.
Wait, I'll be coming. Quick question. Okay, now we don't need this image anymore. So here the form, use form like this. So this action is the URL that we process the data we have inside this form. This form is where you add something that allow user to input something from in your website. So we can see here, we can see and this is the URL that we perform. We process any data submitted from this form. So here in the form, we can have inputs. There is what we call input element in HTML. We have so many input elements that allow you to put name, email, color, hidden, image, month, password, file, so many things, range, submit, even search. So here we have text, and this particular one is, let's say, name, and ID will be name as well. So let's save this one and see what will happen to our web page now. You see this particular place in that, let me break that. There is an element here in HTML, break element, that will allow you to break the web page like this. VR. This is void element. We call this void element. You see, every other element have an opening and a closing tag, but void elements have only one tag. Even we have HR, horizontal line. It will track a line through this web page. It's also a void element. So let's see what happens to our web page now. You see, this is the horizontal line, and this is our form element input. We can add something here. We can add something into this input, and the input is text. When we hit submit now, it want to submit our web page. It want to submit what we have here, but we don't have a backend to process those data. Then we receive an error. So we can additionally style all these things. We have what we call placeholder, and placeholder like this. Placeholder, enter your name. So when we visit our web page now, it's that. Okay, this is not where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be here inside this placeholder, enter your name. So You see, we have enter your name here. If you click on this, you start entering your name, the placeholder will wipe off. And this is for the form element, the input tag or the input element in HTML. So with this input element, this is how you tell user to add something, to maybe to submit something or input their name, password, whatever to your website. It happened from the form element in HTML. And within that form element, you can then have input of what you want the user to add. So, and you can do this input type email or type number like this, and then we have ID number placeholder, enter your phone number. Then another one here is input type color, name, color. You see this one, you have so many input type. If you maybe say you want to become a full stack developer, then you want to explore about front end, then you will explore all this, and from there you will understand every single thing you need to know about HTML. But HTML is the easiest of them all. It's basically tag. The only way you can have some difficulty is this form, this particular form. That is the only place. Or maybe you want to work on what we call micro data in HTML. But even micro data is not required to be a full stack developer. It's just advanced part of HTML. Then ID, the color again, and select color. Let's see. Select color. The placeholder won't even show in this color. So now let's come here. You see the color. This is the color. You can select this one now as your color. You can type in. This one is RGB. The RGB value of color. It starts from 0 to 225, I think. It will become black. 0, 0, 0. And then white will be 255, which is white. And that is, I will explain about color, maybe not in CSS. So if you have 0, 0 here in RGB, our color will be black. And if you have 255, 255, 255, 255, then we have pure white. Then you see RGB, which is red, green, blue. So if red is the greatest here, then the color will be red. Maybe we have 0 here. If you have 0 here, and then we have 0 here, the color is pure red. Then if we have 255 here, and then we have 0 here, the color will be green. And then if we have 255 here, and then we have 0 here, the color will be blue, which is RGB, and that is the color value. We have so many color value, HSL, hexadecimal. But if you have time in CSS, I will explain just color value for you. But that is just we select the input type color in HTML, and this one is number. So from here you can count the number integer. You can type in any number you want here. And this one is text. We have input type password, and we have input type file. Let's do file because it is one of the most important one of them all. Inputs is equals to file. This is how you select. Maybe someone you want to build a website where people can add the profile picture. Is the work of the file. image ID. So now let's go back. You see no file choosing. If we click here, it will open our system and we select a file. Now you see the name of the file we selected from our system. If we have backend to process this, now we can submit this file to our backend and it will store in our database. Maybe it will be the user profile picture. It will process it and store it in our database using the input type file. And that is it. So I will take question now, and this is HTML. So if you have any question, you can ask the question now.
Sir, please go back to the other page, the coding page.
All right. Okay.
Sir, please, I'm sorry. Is this because the way? I'm sorry, I know this thing is recorded, but you started like us, right? And you were confused like us.
Of course, I understand everything.
Okay. Since you are now doing it, I believe we can still do it. Thank you.
All
But
right.
I still have a little confusion about all these elements. This type of element, this one, that one, all of them, like they're kind of confusing. All these inline elements, all these block level elements, section, customer
Okay.
attributes, all of them, I don't know. It's kind of
I
confusing, all
at
of them.
least you remember the name now. So it's
Yes.
a very big development. You remember we have inline element, we have block level element. That is very
Yeah.
big. And
There's another thing I
let's
want to
go.
ask. Is this thing, or this one we're looking at now, is it the machine language or is a different language?
This is not a machine language. This is HTML. You know, I told you if you are building a website, you need a front end. That is where user can see, interact.
Yeah.
Yes. So those places user can see and interact with. That is your web page. And your web page must have a structure. And HTML is the structure of the web page. Take HTML as while working with human body now. You have a skeleton.
Okay.
So HTML is skeleton of the website. And looking at it, it doesn't look so beautiful. It just tags, text, the others, and is the skeleton of your website. So every single pages section you have on your website, they are all HTML tags that does different jobs. So if you want to build a website, you first of all start with HTML. That is where you start with. You start with your HTML. You have the structure. When you have the structure now, many pages, all the pages, all of them, you have their own HTML tag and documents separately. Now we save this thing. I save it as home.html. If you have multiple pages, you can say about us.html, our service.html, terms and conditions.html, etc. Those are the pages you have on your website. They are comprises of the HTML. Then inside that HTML, you can then start writing every single text you want people to see on your website. Every single section is basically, all these things are boxes. All these particular things you see, they are HTML boxes. They are boxes, and they are HTML tag. CSS, we see them as box. Not just, even JavaScript can see them as box. So that is why in this place here, you see, we have one box here. We style this box now, and it looks separate from this one below. It looks like a box. All these are boxes that make up your web page. page. Then if we remove all the CSS, all this thing will be just text, picture, text, picture. So but that small CSS we apply to it, which is the styling, that is what makes this plate, its color look different, and we have small box shadow here in the work of creating. And if we do Control U here, you see that same HTML code you use. That same HTML code you use in developing the website. That is it here. So any other question?
Extra, if HTML is used for the structure of the website, does it not sound the same like the framework?
Okay, like a framework.
Yes.
No, it doesn't sound like a framework. Even you can say, okay, maybe HTML can even have a framework, but I haven't seen HTML framework. So, but what have framework here is CSS. Framework is basically what you use to make a particular program easier to develop. Assuming you have a program that is very hard to develop, to make use of. Maybe you have someone it's very hard to meet that person. And a framework can be maybe a secretary to that person, that you explain what you want to do to that secretary, and that secretary will go and explain it to the boss, because you doesn't have access to the boss. So, but HTML is on its own separately. So a framework, Django now as a framework, we use Django to work with Python and develop a website. But it render something to your front end, but it requires HTML. Anything is rendering will be HTML. It will drop it in your HTML for you to access it from the back end.
God will help us.
Framework just help make a program easier for you to use. So maybe they are configured so many things you need to hard code yourself. They will configure all of them for you, and it should be more easier for you to make use of that particular framework. But HTML is not a framework. It's a markup language for the web. Any other question?
So I have a question.
Okay.
So my question is, in this our section style, this one now, the box shadow that you wrote 0 pixel, 0 pixel, 10 pixel. Where does it start? Is it from the left side to the bottom, or from up left right side to the bottom?
Okay, the box shadow.
Yes.
Okay. Let me use one to explain it for you, which is, it starts from this particular one. We move your shadow to the left side, and this one we move your shadow up or down, and this one is the blur radius. We call it blur radius. It will spread the color for you. So if I have 100 now, it will spread the color 100 times. Let's check it out. You see our color now, it spreads more and more. Now, so then if we have this one here, this one we have now, if we have 10, something like that, it will push our color. Once you see, it's pushing it this side, but because the color, we spread the color so much, let's reduce it so you will see, or we even add more to it, like 100. See where it push it to the right side. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it. I can see it.
But you cannot, first of all, you need to understand the box sitting here. Or you have this place here. This place is the top left corner of your box. It's calculated this way. And this place is the top right corner of your box. And this place is the bottom right corner of your box. And this place is the bottom left corner of your box. So some attributes like padding and margin, you work with them the same way. It moves from the top left corner to the top right corner to the bottom right corner to the bottom left corner. So it's always have 4 attributes like this. If I say border radius, let me use border radius here in image. Style. Border radius. So border radius now 2 rem like this, and we save that. We go to our page. You see this is the border radius now. If the border radius is 50% the size of our box, it will be circle. Assuming we have 100 pixel height, 100 pixel width, then we have 50 pixel border radius. It will make a round, a circle for us. So that is the work of border radius. Just the radius. I don't know how to explain radius, but you understand what radius is in English language. So in the outer part of our, like a circumference, then if we work on it, if we change the size, then it will round the color, to round the box for us. So now let's take that 4 places, which is the top left corner. This one is the top left corner. If you have 4 here, let's say we have 5 rem here, and then the next one is the top right corner. Let's have this one 10 rem. It will be more bigger. And then the bottom right corner, we say 2 rem, and then the bottom left corner, we say 0 rem. You see what will happen to our box. This one will be a little bit bigger, and then the top right corner will be, the radius will be very big. Let's check. You see what happened to our box now. This one is the top left corner, the first one. This one is the second one, the biggest one, and this one is the third one, and the fourth one is 0 rem. It doesn't touch this one at all. That is the radius of our box. And that is how the box is placed in our documents. You understand this one, bro? Any other question?
No question for now, sir.
Okay, no question again. Which
I have
other
a question. I have a question, sir.
Go ahead with your question.
I've keenly observed that if you look at as you are putting this should I let me use this article style. You have a width column, then 80%, then semicolon, background, then a little space, then column. Then if you notice something at the end of everything you wrote there, then you then put this thing, double quotation mark at the top of them. Is that quotation mark like to start the, should I say, the command and articles, and to close it? Then before you then put the sign of either that border radius to cover this thing, either is it less than or greater than sign? Hello? Hello, sir.
And to show that this is it, you have to
Honestly, network don't come.
The network is bad.
Honestly.
I hope you understand the question I was trying to ask.
Yeah. Like those greater than and less than. Like what
Yeah.
you mean you were trying to find the functions of the commands.
Yes. Because he hasn't explained that. Because I know I was looking at Python program. There's a bracket and some and double quotation on top.
It seems he's muted though.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Okay. Sir, we
Yes,
can hear
sir.
you.
No, it's
Oh,
not
We
the
can
same.
hear you.
sorry. I don't even know I misread my line. Okay. So you are talking about this quotation mark here, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is exactly how you tell, this is an attribute.
Okay.
You tell that this attribute, you are talking about this particular style. You see equal to sign, showing you that this style is equals to this. And you have to cover all of them because this is not one attribute. Even if it's one, you have to cover it in a quotation mark to telling you that this style is equals to all this one here. He's talking about all these things inside of it. So any HTML attribute you have with equal to must have a quotation mark telling you that this is it. This is the value. This is the attribute equals to, and this is the value. So you hold those values with quotation mark. You can use single quotes, not only double quotes. So I don't know. Someone is just calling me and my network is going on and on. What's the person do? All right. So this is it for JavaScript. There are so many other things. Just basically anything you can think of in a web page, they are basically HTML. So like this now, I see this website now. You see this particular website now. This is our website. This one is an iframe, the YouTube video. We embedded it on the website. So you can play it here. You can play the video here on your website. You call it an iframe. You use an iframe element to embed it from your own channel in your website. So all these things are HTML elements, all of them. All this one also, they are all embedded items from external websites. So, all that. So any other question? Any other question?
No question, sir.
All right. So we'll continue next time. We'll start with CSS. We do some styling.